Okay, there you go.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. My name is Hugo. I am an academic advisor with the College of Health and Human Sciences, and I'm also the Health Profession Advisor for our college. And so glad you can join us for this workshop. I'm collaborating with this workshop with the Pre-Physical Therapy Club on campus, which is one of the best run clubs on all of San Jose State campuses. And let's get to the meat of this presentation. Here we go. We're going to skip this because we have so much content we want to share with you that we want to make sure that you get the information before you have to log off. So we're calling this the reality check workshop because I meet with many students who are pre-physical therapy. Many students join the club, and there are, they're maybe not as knowledgeable and as realistic as they should be. And so that's why we're doing this workshop. The content that we put together has been specially designed to basically answer the most frequently asked questions that we get from students. We're going to talk about the profession itself, and what is the graduate school, because becoming a physical therapy, you do get your doctorate in physical therapy. What are the majors and prerequisites? Observation hours, what does that mean? Patient care experience, what does that mean? There's a recommendation. Do you need them? If so, how do you get them? How many? What kind do you need? What should they say about you? What is the GRE, and how is that factored into your admissions process? About internships, and then additional workshops and resources that come up in the very near future. Okay, this is from the American Physical Therapy Association. This is the language they use. So this slide is actually, I borrowed it from them. Physical therapists are healthcare professionals who diagnose and treat individuals of all ages with medical problems or other health-related conditions that may limit their abilities to move and perform functional activities in their daily lives. So my understanding is physical therapists try to get you to be as functional as possible, given whatever. Maybe it might be a ankle injury, a meniscus tear, an ACL problem, a rotator cuff or your shoulder. Maybe you've had a stroke and you're in the hospital. Maybe you're a veteran, you're in the war, and now you're recovering from war injuries, and you're in the Veterans Administration Hospital. So those are some of, and the whole, my understanding is the physical therapist's main goal is to get the patient as functional as possible, and also to learn how to take care of themselves. Yeah, so physical therapists can manage and diagnose illnesses, ailments. Okay, they restore physical function, wellness, and fitness, and improve the quality of life as it relates to movement and health. I'm giving you this because I've met with many students and I ask them, why do you want to be a physical therapist? And tell me what a physical therapist does, and they're like, it's really, really hard for them to explain that. So these slides, you try to, not regurgitate, not memorize them, but say them in the way that's similar to what the meaning is, and have it flow, because you're really preparing for the interview. Some of the programs will interview you, and you're really preparing for the interview. And you also want to get the support of your parents, significant others, professors, and by knowing this language very carefully and very well, and in your own words, it's going to go a long ways to getting support from your parents, significant others, professors for letters of recommendation, when you're looking for internships, etc. Physical therapists work in many settings. Most people think only of outpatient clinics. When you go you go to your doctor, they say, hey, you got a torn ACL, I'm refer you to a physical therapist, and you go to outpatient clinic. But physical therapists also, very importantly, work in acute care, also known as inpatient, which means in a hospital setting where the sickest and the most ill patients are at. They also work in rehabilitation hospitals, and you can read the rest where physical therapists can work. And this is important because when we get to observation hours, we're going to talk about acute care. All right, here's some of the conditions that physical therapists can treat. Again, most students that I ask why do you want to be a physical therapist, I'll ask them, were you injured as a high school athlete? And did you go to physical therapist? And did that influence you? They go, oh yeah, that's exactly why I want to be a physical therapist. I would imagine the people that are here, 80% of you fall into that category. Some of us have other illnesses where, other ailments where we receive physical therapy, and we were really captivated by the quality of care, the type of care that we received. I'm a big fan of physical therapists because I've had shoulder, back, ankle injuries, and I'm still functional because thanks to physical therapist. And it's a great job. As the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a federal agency that manages all things related to jobs and what's going on with careers and stuff like that, they're saying we're growing. Physical therapy is growing at a rate of 20% per year. The average career experiencing good growth is 15%. So this is actually a little bit higher than average, and it's projected to go like that for the near future. Not only that, but at least in this valley, that's pretty good money. Your starting job could be 65,000 fresh out of college, starting at Kaiser or working for another physical therapist. After a few years, you can expect to make 109,000. As you get more experience, you're easily pulling in 141. And mind you, with benefits, this is pretty much take-home money. Okay. However, you can expect that most of you will owe a lot of money by the time you graduate. This is from American Physical Therapy Association. There are 229 programs in the United States, and these programs together have 10,900 seats. In other words, in my opinion, there's a seat for each of you that are here today if you want to finish your education and apply to physical therapy school. But you got to be strategic, you got to be intelligent about the way you prepare between now and the way you prepare to apply. Because again, you're going to owe a lot of money, but like I mentioned earlier, where did it go? You're going to make good money. And most physical therapy schools will tell you that their graduates usually are debt-free within 10 years of graduating. Within 10 years, they would have paid off $116,000 that approximately that many of you will owe. Some of you will owe less, some of you will owe more, but this is an average. Now, remember, I mentioned that becoming a physical therapist is a doctorate track. You're going to get your doctorate. They're going to call you doctor when you graduate. You're going to wear the white coat and it's going to say doctor so-and-so. It takes about 3 years. After graduating from here, once you get in, 3 years of education. 80% of those 3 years is going to be in class and in labs, learning how to do, assess shoulders, with mannequins, with each other, et cetera, learning about biomechanics, exercise physiology, all those wonderful things you're going to learn as part of the curriculum. But then after you get, gradually you got to start seeing patients, and that's a clinical education. That's about 20% of the 3 years. Embedded into that, it's about 27 to 30 weeks of actual, first shadowing PTs, then doing a little bit more. Eventually, the PT is going to be shadowing you to make sure that you know what you're doing when you're working with patients. And that includes internships. Internships means that you're a very experienced PT student and you're now ready to go out to Kaiser, to the different clinics, to see patients for real, being supervised by licensed physical therapists. Now, I'm gonna, like I mentioned before, there's 229 programs nationwide. Some of you are saying, I don't want to leave California. I got a lot of stuff here. I don't want to go to the snow in Chicago. I don't want to go to the heat and humidity in Texas. Plus, I don't talk Texan. I don't understand the way they talk. I do like country music, but I don't understand the way I don't know. I'm trying to be funny. But either way, there's a lot of schools in California. So let me get out of here for a second and switch to the other slide, my internet. So that link that I showed you earlier takes you to this page, which is a PTCAS, and I'll tell you what PTCAS is in a little bit. And it's already set for California under state. And here's all the programs. Okay, there's quite a few programs in here. Most commonly, our students want to go to Fresno State or Sac State or Long Beach. Why? Because it's a CSU and tuition is a lot more reasonable than, say, for example, University of Pacific, which is a private university. However, University of Pacific, you probably have a better chance to get into University of Pacific than the CSUs, and you can explore that on your own. Guess what, folks? At the very end of this presentation, I have a special invitation because we have Professor Gillette, University of Pacific, coming to campus or Zoom campus on November 18th, and I'll give you more information later on. But anyways, that link that I have embedded in the slides will take you here. In a few minutes, I'm going to put a link for a Google form for you to register for this workshop. If you register, it's going to ask you your name, your major, what year you in school. Where it says your name, also add your email address, and I will send you this PowerPoint within a few days. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this just so you know what it looks like, and that's what the link's about. Now, let me get back to the PowerPoint. No, it's not this one. Here it is. Okay. Slides. Where did it go? Hold on. View. There you go. Wait a minute. How do I get to
Press present.
present? Where's that? Oh, here it is. Thank you. My mind is going a million miles an hour. So thank you for helping me out here. Okay, so we left the slides to show you this slide. Now, PTCAS stands for Physical Therapist Centralized Application Service. It's a very important website to follow. All you do is type in PTCAS into your browser, and it'll take you to this website, because you're going to be using it to apply, but it also has the information on the programs. And we're going to be talking more about PTCAS a little bit later on, but also in spring, you'll be invited for those people that are getting ready to apply for a more specific application workshop for those getting ready to apply. All right. Also, according to the American Physical Therapy Association, the average GPA getting into physical therapy programs nationwide is a 3.5. Overall undergraduate, combined science, but also your prerequisite. Now, here's a very important point. For those of you who don't have a 3.5 yet, or who may not think they'll get a 3.5, don't despair. This is an average. Remember, every average has a standard deviation. And if you haven't taken standard statistics yet, or if you have taken statistics, pay attention to what the standard deviation means. I believe the standard deviation for 3.5 average is going to be a 1.5 or 1.75, which means that some people, approximately 30% of the people that got in, were less than a 3.5, closer to about 3.3. There are some people that got in with a 3.0. There's some people that got in with a 2.8 somewhere in the country. Some programs are more holistic in the way they review their candidates, and they pay special attention to your last 60 units, and they will allow you to retake that anatomy that you got to see, or that statistics that you got to see. Take it again before you apply, and they will give you the higher grade. So there's a lot of nuances to the statistics, okay? And so the reason I'm saying that is for you to encourage you to attend information sessions with programs. Either we bring them to campus, or you go to their Zoom rooms on their websites to find out more information about who's more holistic. It all depends on where you're at with your GPA. But that's what I'm trying to unpack, what the statistics mean. Okay. Any major will do, as long as you get the prerequisites and you get if you're well prepared to apply. Here's what I mean by that. Again, this is data from the American Physical Therapy Association. These are the people that got into physical therapy program. Most of them were exercise. This is nationwide. Exercise and science. Then biology was the second most popular major. Kinesiology was a third. Health science, psychology were the remaining majors. And there might even be some people who are business liberal arts, nutrition majors. The point is that everybody's welcome at this workshop, and everybody's welcome to apply to physical therapy as long as you meet the prerequisites and the GPA criteria. All right, I'm done here. I'm going to turn it over to the PT club students.
Okay, so for prerequisites to sign up for DPT programs, you would need to take human anatomy classes and physiology, which at SJSU would be bio 65 and 66. They also require elementary statistics, which is stat 95. General chemistry, you need to take both Chem 1A and Chem 1B, and all these classes can be taken at a community college if you want, or if you have access to it. So yeah, all the bio classes, which includes chemistry, physics, and general principles of biology. And you would also have to take general psychology and abnormal psych. I know not a lot of people know that they have to take bio and psych. So now that you're here, you know you have to take it. And some additional courses that you can take is general bacteriology, exercise physiology, and clinical exercise physiology, medical terminology. But yeah, all just a recap, all of these classes can be taken in a community college.
Now, there is a myth going around that programs prefer that these courses be taken at a university, that they don't like community college or they won't accept them. That's a myth. And I've asked multiple admissions directors from different programs. They say, we don't care. We don't discriminate whether you get these prerequisites at a community college or a university. We know, in other words, we you took them at Harvard, Stanford, or San Jose City College, we consider it equal. And the next one is my table that I make, and I encourage you to make a version of this table for yourself. On the left column, put the programs you're interested in looking at. Go to their websites, and then I cut and paste the requirements on there. It says 8 units of biology. Okay, it's bio 30 and 31. We're looking at the University of Pacific at the very top. And so everything that Vivian said is listed here. But you'll notice some of them only require Psych 1, others require Psych 110 as well. Psych 1 is a prerequisite for Psych 110, which is abnormal psychology. Some of them are just fine with just psychology. To be on the safe side, take Psych 1 and Psych 110. But here's what's important. Look at the clinical hour column on the far right. It's highlighted in yellow as a heading in the white. This is the language directly from their websites about what they're expecting you to do when it comes to patient care or observation hours. And Vivian also mentioned that some programs require additional biologies. If you look at University of San Francisco at the lower, University of California, San Francisco, lower left, I put micro 101, but it really means any upper division biology class. Micro 101 tends to be microbiology, but so the point being is, it's your responsibility as a future applicant to get on top of this information, make your own table, however it's best for you to look at this information, because ultimately you're responsible when you apply to make sure you met all the prerequisites. Next person is going to be, all right.
There is a question in the chat box. Does AP Stats fulfill that requirement?
Yes.
Statistics?
Yep. AP Stats will fulfill the requirement. Good question. Thank you. Your turn, somebody.
Sorry, I was on mute. So PT observation experience, you get this through, we get emails if you're a kinesiology major to your SJSU email about different internship opportunities, aid opportunities, and that's where you would get your PT observation hours. Every school, it varies. Some schools require 50 hours, others require 100, and then others require 80 hours outpatient and 20 hours inpatient. So that just means at a hospital setting, inpatient, or outpatient is any clinic outside besides the hospital. And I would, tips and suggestions for observation experience, I would do an Excel Excel sheet, and document every hour, the date, the amount of hours you worked that day, and what you did. Especially if you're taking senior seminar, they'll ask the tasks of what you did. But when you're applying to PT's cast, it's going to ask you for all the hours. And Excel is great. It'll be able to calculate all the hours that you were able to, that you have done. And you have to have good communication with the licensed physical therapist. That way they can sign you off on it. And it looks good if you do 1 to 3 years of experience for PT aid.
Okay. I know in the past, the PT Club had a template. Do you guys have the template for that Excel spreadsheet?
Not that I know of, but we can work on something.
Oh, okay, because Hector was talking about it last year, so maybe. Anyways, if somebody can make a template and, and then just, share it with it, that way everybody's not making on their own version, we can standardize it, and that would be great. And we can put PT clubs on this state, get some street cred among the admissions people. All right. All right, so folks, the most important part of this presentation is really going to be to hear from the PT officers, and so they can share their formula for success. We gave you a bunch of foundational information, but now it's to come, how to apply that information so that in a way that works for you. All right, PT Club officers, you got the floor.
Okay, so for formula for success in prereqs, one thing that really helped me was printing out all of my syllabus for my classes and writing down when my midterms are and my finals. And I have it actually on my board. I don't know if you could kind of see it flying out, but yeah, I always keep the syllabus next to me just so I know where we're at in all my classes. And then for hours of study, I recommend doing or studying 2 weeks before a midterm or a test and at least 2 hours a day. And if not every day, maybe 3 hours. I make studying most effective by having timer for breaks. So like in between hours, I have like a timer for like 5 to 10 minutes just to stretch or like get a snack or bother my roommates. And then for memorizing, I make like a private Quizlet for myself, and then instead of like saying the word, I like recite the definition. And then study groups, they've always been helpful. They help me understand materials more and like make studying more interesting and fun. And then for office hours, I personally only gone for only like big projects, but then I feel like they're extremely helpful because like they really help you like reassure your thoughts and become more confident about your work. And it's better to be safe and check it before you turn it in rather than afterwards where you can't do anything about it. So that's my own take for being successful in my classes.
Thank you, priceless. Does anybody else want to share? Or should we move on?
Diana, you.
Yeah, I can share. So similar to what Jasmine said, I do use my syllabus a lot, and I have an iPad where I have a planner on my iPad, but I find it when I write down on a book what I need to do. And I have a calendar up there. I just recently, well, haven't written anything on there, but I have the whiteboard calendar and I can cross off things I need to do. I also have an app. It's called Minimalist. I don't know if Samsung has it, but Apple has it for free, and you can just add things that you need to get done, and it'll time you, it'll block and lock your phone until you're done with the timer. That way you're focused and you're not distracted using your phone. So it helps because you block out any outside distraction. Get things done quickly.
For me, how I like study for my classes, I usually rewrite my notes twice, especially for anatomy and physiology. I think it's really helpful to rewrite your notes twice and on like actual paper rather than, or like just write it out, since you're studying while you're writing it out. And study groups, I haven't been to a study group, but it's like in the past when I did it for other classes, it was really helpful. Like we just like blurted out all of our information and how we see things, and it puts a new perspective in how each one of us studies and like our how, and they give us studying tips too. As for how many hours I study, I usually study around like half of the day, honestly, but there's classes. Yeah, and I would block out my phone. Like I always get distracted when a notification comes in, so I would like turn it facing down and just shove it away. So all my focus is just on the assignment that I'm looking at.
Should we move on, or somebody else want to share?
I think we can move on. Also,
Okay.
where are the slides for? Are you still sharing? Oh, there it is.
Okay. All right. Do you all want to share about the observation hours a little bit more? Expand on that?
So right now I'm interning at the Student Wellness Center, and for observation hours, I would input it within like a more of a document. But since Diana mentioned Excel, I should put it in Excel too. But for what I write down like the date that I was working in, like my hours, and what I learned that day, like what experience that I have learned that day, and what I can like further improve myself on. It's also helpful for the internship class, since I heard they have questions like kind of building up, like it's kind of like a journal, and it helps for internship classes. And for volunteering at to get experience, it could be in any setting, from what I know, but I would recommend trying to volunteer within a PT clinic setting, because it would help for future, like for grad schools, and you would get hands-on experience in like an actual PT setting. And to get internships, I know there is a Kin email internship list by Christina. She sends out a lot of the information, like different information about internships within the kinesiology department. You can also look up PT clinics and personally phone call or email them. I've emailed one of the clinics and they actually responded to me, and like if they have PT aids available, they would contact me. As for resumes, I follow I would at least have some volunteer hours connected to kinesiology, like the medical, for example, the rock and roll medical volunteer was my main volunteer hour for like within my resume, and I like without that I would have nothing for volunteer hours related to the job that I'm applying for.
What is a rock and roll
Rock and
volunteer?
roll, it's the marathon in downtown San Jose. It's near campus. We like I think it was 3 weeks ago they had the event going on, and Diana and Jasmine attended with some PPT members.
Right on. So one reason why the observation hours are mandatory is for students to expand on their why. In other words, something got you interested in physical therapy, you know, and then either, oh, it's a good career, oh, I like what they do, or you were actually injured and benefited from it. And then, but that's kind of simple, and I call it the catalytic moment or moments. But then that's not going to suffice. You know, when you write to apply to physical therapy, you're going to write a essay, which is a personal statement. Why you and why physical therapy? And it's and so all these hours, everything you write down, it's going to grow another layer. It can be as simple as, wow, I got to see X, Y, and Z. I got to see how a physical therapist assessed the shoulder, the range of motion, the strength of the joint. And not only that, but they taught the patients, you know, I like the way they communicated to the patients to self-care for that, how to use ice when necessary, how to use heat when necessary, how to do certain stretching exercises, do it correctly, so you don't cause more injury, but you're rehabbing that shoulder or that ankle, whatever you're doing. See how all that language is like just flowing? Because I've benefited from that. Now, and the other part of it is to appreciate the character traits that the physical therapist exhibits when they're seeing the patient: empathy, communication, multiculturalism, multilingualism, integrity, you know, intelligence, problem solving, teamwork. You know, all these character traits that the way you write your personal statement. And you write your personal statement the way you behave, the way you learn to behave by being out there for all these hours, and you're not doing it intentionally. It's just going to flow because you had more than 20 hours, because you have closer to 200 hours. All these, your personal statement will just flow because you have so much to say. And that's one of the main reasons why you want to do these, you really want to invest good faith into these observation hours. The ulterior motive, though, we're human, we've got ulterior motives, is to get a letter recommendation. A letter recommendation from a physical therapist is actually mandatory by many programs. Some programs will accept other letters, but basically every program is going to require a letter of recommendation from a physical therapist, basically saying, I've observed Diana, Jasmine, or Vivian for 200 hours, and here's my signature, but along those 200 hours, I got to experience all that they do, their character traits, and they're going to describe you in embarrassingly great detail about how good you are. And they say, I would welcome them as a colleague at Kaiser Physical Therapist, at X, Y, and Z Physical Therapist. So if that letter says at the very bottom, I would welcome them as a colleague, that's like the seal of approval. And that's going to go a long ways to you getting in. So it's not just doing the hours to document that you did 200 hours, it's doing the hours to show how much you've grown and into you're ready to be the next level of professionalism, which is physical therapy school. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, we start talking about letters of recommendation. You guys got the floor.
I think this is my slide. So
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm the physical therapist at the Student Wellness Center. And I know a lot of you are going to be looking for letters of recommendation. You're going to probably need one from a professor. And that's a matter of getting to know your instructor. I would recommend that you go to office hours. I recommend that you're not afraid to ask questions and get to know your instructors, because generally the instructors know that they're going to have to write letters of rec and they want you to succeed in your future goals, but they would like to know who you are. So do touch base with them. And like I said, try to get to know them, interact with them, so that you're not just a face in a crowd, but an individual. Our kinesiology department is amazing and they really do want you to succeed. So don't be afraid to talk to your instructors. But in terms of getting a letter of rec, you will need, as far as I know from almost all the schools, a letter of recommendation from one of the physical therapists, hopefully that you've done your observation hours or volunteer hours with. So while sometimes it can be overwhelming, particularly if you're just in an observation setting, to get to know a physical therapist, I highly recommend getting to know them, which may make you have to go outside of your comfort zone in terms of actually engaging in conversation to somebody who seems really busy. But when we take on volunteers or student assistants or aides, we want you to succeed, because the better you do, the better our patients are going to do, because we are truly a team. Every single part of a patient care involves all of us. So I like to see students who learn to engage with patients. I like to see students who are curious or excited about being in the clinic. And all of my students had to undergo an interview process to get in. So I already knew kind of a little bit about them. Vivian was talking about how she didn't think she had experience. All of you actually have more experience than you think you do. You have your hours in anatomy class, you have your bio classes, you have all the sports and activities that you've done. I think you guys undersell yourselves so much. And it's my job to some degree to remind you that you're really great. And you're able to communicate in a different way to the patient population. So I might be explaining something really in anatomical terms, and my student assistant and aides will explain it in down like the nitty gritty. So I might use the word glute and they use the word rear, or they just get you to the more specific. So sometimes I may use a more anatomical terminology. So anyway, that was just a tangent. But for a letter of recommendation, the physical therapist is specifically going to be asked, how are you in terms of your professionalism? Are you treating patients with respect? Are you treating your coworkers with respect? Are you able to talk on the phone? Are you able to talk to the clinicians when they come in? Are you able to work on your, think on your feet? Are you able to transition? Are you able to work in a fast-paced or a slow-paced clinic? Are you able to adapt yourself to working with different types of patients? And I think that that's really important. The internships and the volunteer, it's so you can decide if that's the right fit for you. There are lots of other jobs out there that you can make more money, but most of the people that you'll talk to, physical therapists and to the people who work in the clinic, and they're passionate about what they're doing. They like to see their clients or their patients succeed. They want to empower them to do that. So go into a clinic, see if that's something that you want to be able to do. And the other thing is, it's okay if one clinic doesn't have a right fit for you and you don't feel good about it. Try a different type of clinic, maybe a different kind of setting. I really do think that frequently students think that it's just about outpatient sports settings. But when you're in school, you're going to have to learn about patients that are in the hospital under acute care. You're going to have to learn about older patient populations. A lot of times people think more in terms of the sports that they've played. So they're thinking athletic training, only ankle. But you're going to see patients who've had a total knee, a total hip, total shoulders. You're going to see patients who have Parkinson's. You're going to see all these different kinds of exciting patient populations that I think are exciting. But if that's not the kind of thing that you want to be doing, you want to find that out in your internship. And if you feel uncomfortable in those settings, you need to know that, because it might not be the right area for you. It might not be the right specialty for you. And that's okay too. You're in college to learn, to find out if this is right. You're doing your observation hours to find out if it's a good fit for you. If it is, then you're going to have to talk to that physical therapist. You're going to have to say, hey, you know, I worked for you. I volunteered at the Santa Clara Valley Med, or I volunteered at the VA for this number of hours. And my other recommendation is get to know the physical therapist well enough that they're going to give you a means of communicating directly with them. Because a lot of times your PT may not stay in the same location. One of the nice things about physical therapy is we're allowed to move. So you want to talk to the physical therapist that you worked most with, so you know where they are when you're ready to apply. I've worked at San Jose State for 20 plus years. Students who have graduated are now PTs out in the field. And I talk to them and they're like, yeah, no, I was in this clinic for about a year and then I decided to go to this clinic, or they're traveling PTs. So you want to get contact information so that when you're ready, you can get their letter of rec for you. Did I more than answer that question? I'm sorry, I rambled at you guys. I was just so excited to get to talk. So anyway, so if you guys have questions about how to approach a PT, you can always email me and talk to me. I want you guys to succeed. I want you to have a good experience. All right. So, and don't be afraid. We're used to writing letters of rec. Cheers.
Thank you. So folks, this session is being recorded, and I encourage you to listen to this recording and mark 35 minutes into the recording, because that's when Rachel started talking, and play it often. And you're feeling down, play it again, because that was marvelous. That was priceless. Thank you, Rachel. Remember, 35 minutes to this presentation is when Rachel started giving you gems of wisdom, and it's priceless. Let me see, some practical tips though. She mentioned stay in touch with the professors. I mean, with the people that are going to write your letters of recommendation. So I've heard from professors say that if you took an anatomy class, basically they may write 2 or 3 letters of recommendation for all 100 people that were in that class. So and so if you feel like you were one of those people that really impressed the professor because you did well in in lab, because you asked a lot of questions, because you went to office hours, however you think you made an impression on the professor, then ask him as soon as the class is over, during the class, say, hey, I'm going to be applying to physical therapy school in the near future. Could I bother you for a good letter recommendation? Emphasis on good, not just a letter, a good letter. And the professor will say, you know what, I'm interested. Let's set up a time to talk, because they want to know more about you. And if that goes well, then basically every semester, write them a thank you. Say, I really learned a lot from that anatomy class. It set me up to do great in physiology. or whatever I learned in that anatomy class, I'm still using the skills going forward. And just want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you, Happy Easter. E- every so often, just write them a thank you note. This is what's going on with me, because in 2 or 3 years, you're gonna ask me again, hey, remember we had that conversation back, and I've been sending you periodic emails. I'm ready to apply. Can I get that letter of recommendation now? And here's, by the way, here's an early version of my personal statement, just in case you need it. And if you would like to chat some more, here's my, just let me know, and I'm happy to make an appointment with you. That's what Rachel means by stay in touch, and just be professional about the way you manage this relationship with your professors and your letter writers. And if you are again, if you are going to also get a letter writer from a physical therapist, a letter from a physical therapist, always send them a thank you note after you're done with them, and periodically send them an update on what your status is with regards to applying. Like Rachel said, we really do care about you, but we want to remember you as well. Okay, GREs, who's next?
Okay, so GRE, this is really important. A lot of, not private schools, but a lot of the Cal State schools do require GRE. And I can't emphasize how important this is, because pre-physical therapy, it's a very competitive career. It's very competitive to get in. My dream school, Fresno, only has 30 spots per year for students. So they get thousands of applicants. So you can imagine how competitive it is. So GRE is to help weed out those who are less competitive. And it's not to scare you. A lot of us took ACT, SATs in high school as seniors. So this is very similar to that. This will test you on verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, your writing skills, and critical thinking. I believe it's a 4-hour test. And they do this all throughout the year. So you can always go to that website link, sign up. You do have to pay. I believe it's $205 and take the exam. Preferably months before you start applying. That way, if you don't get the scores that you want, like here it says good competitive scores for verbal reasoning, 150, quantitative 150, and writing is 4.0. So if you don't get the scores that you want, take the GRE months in advance, and then you can study again, retake the test if you decided to do that. Okay, so now study tips. Study months in advance. And I do usually study an hour a day. That way it's not a lot, because we're all students, we have other classes to do. Some of us are working. So an hour a day is it's not taking too much of your time. But I do recommend you buy the prep books. They sell these at Barnes & Noble. You can get them on Amazon online. And the reason that you would want these prep books is because they break down how you can analyze the questions that they're asking. Because it's not just reading the question, it's also looking at the prefixes of a vocabulary word that will help you answer those questions. And then they have pages and pages of vocabulary words that will be on the GRE test. Okay. Another thing, take advantage of the technology that you guys have around you. We have laptops, phones, and there are apps that you can use. So on the right top corner, there's an app called Magoosh. And when you type that into the search bar, there's different apps that you can download. So there's that one gives you like mini quizzes on the different subjects here. There's also a vocabulary one, and that one's just questions on vocab words. Another app that I've been using is, that bottom one. It doesn't have the words. It's called Feyn, Feyn. And that one's really cool. It's similar to Quizlet, but for Quizlet, you have to pay to be able to make your own slides, flashcards. And this one you can use on your iPad and draw out your own vocabulary words. You can make it creative, and it's great. I really love it. So you can connect it to your iPad and then your phone. So whatever you do on your iPad, you get the same thing on your phone. Study in groups. It's always fun when you have someone else suffering with you. Misery loves company. So you can ask questions. You can ask questions. You can get creative and make your own questions. That way, that's a good way of knowing that you really understand the topic they're talking about. And take a pre-test. So you can take a test at the beginning of your studying. That way, you know what you need to work on and what you need to focus on the most. Any questions?
Can you put can you put in the chat the name of that other app that you said that you like a lot? Thank you. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, please.
Where do I get the practice test?
Oh, so for the practice test, when you buy those prep books, they have practice tests. I believe they have 2 or 3 at the back of the book, and you can do it there. And you can also, once you sign up for the GRE, they'll give you an option of buying, you get 2 free practice tests, and you also have the option to add more to the cart, and they charge between $20 to $40, I believe. And you can just keep practicing those. You can also look up online PDF versions. Those would be good ways. That was a good question.
And some people in the chat are asking when would you take the GRE?
Can you say it louder, please?
When would you take the GRE test?
Oh, when would I take?
When?
So applications start in July. They open June, July. I would take it right before the spring semester is going to start, the first test. And then you can take another one right before summer is about to start. Gives you a good amount of time to study.
Another answer would
that's
be
what I do.
anytime, because it's
Oh yeah,
anytime you're ready.
Anytime is works.
Yeah, there's no preferred time as long as your scores are ready when you apply. The other thing is, I actually recommend summers, because you might be only be working, you might be doing your PT experience hours part-time. So summer is a good time to end, especially end of summer, and that way you're just focusing on that and whatever else you're doing, whether it's a summer class, whether it's doing some observation hours, etc. And you could start right after after finals are over in May. Take a couple of weeks off, and then like Diana said, take a pretest, a full length, not a part test, a full length. Get the full experience of 4 hours of test taking, and then analyze and say, okay, I see it's gonna. Hopefully you'll appreciate the big part of this test is test taking skills, and also doing some verbal reasoning. What do you call it? Vocabulary. And so you spend another 2 or 3 weeks doing, practice tests and learning some reasoning, and then do another practice test. And hopefully you'll see not so much an improvement in the score, you're going to feel an improvement in your comfort level. And with this test, do another 2 or 3 weeks of, review, prep, then take another practice test. So I've seen people do really, really well with 6 to 8 weeks of that kind of cycle. And the big part of the test taking is just to, calm those nerves. So that the more you do it, the more calm you are, the more you understand the way these questions are phrased, the way they worded, the logic they're trying to, that it takes to do well on this test. Basically, it's a certain logic that you got to use just for this test, and then you forget about it because you use a different logic when you take your test in DPT school. All right, thank you for that. All right. Internships or observation hours. So this is geared more for the kinesiology students, but the non-kin students, you can still learn from this. Go ahead.
So our KIN 158 is our internship course where 2 units are required to graduate. And we actually had our first workshop with Christina. So I'll be going over this briefly. Each unit is 50 hours and all hours must be completed during the semester you're enrolled in. So if you're taking both units in one semester, you'll need to finish 100 hours within that semester. It doesn't have to be related to physical therapy. However, it is recommended if you are applying to DPT schools. You do need to find an internship and fill out paperwork prior to enrolling into the course. For the upcoming spring semester, the deadline to submit paperwork and sign up for the course is Tuesday, February 8th by 4 p.m. There's more information on the website. You can either take a picture of it, or if you type in SJSU Kin Internship in Google, you should be able to find it too. If you have any questions, you can also contact Christina, our Kin Internship Manager, through email. I believe she also has a list of internship sites you can contact. However, at the end of this meeting, we'll also be sharing some opportunities that you can possibly use for the internship. So stick around.
So this slide is specifically for the kin majors. For non-kin majors, don't email Christina saying I'd like to get an internship, and preferably with PT related. I recommend you join the PT club, and there's going to be an opportunity to join the PT club because they're very good about sharing their resources when it comes to observation hours. Should I go to the next slide? Okay. Here you go.
Okay. So here are some tips when you're looking for an internship. First, I would recommend having an updated resume ready to go. Be diligent in searching, for example, like what Vivian said earlier, call places and ask if they offer any internships. Some places may have them, you just don't know until you ask. And lastly, use your network and ask around. Networking is important. For me, being a part of this club helped me a lot because the internship I had was familiar with pre-PT club members at San Jose State specifically. So they were like really interested in that. There's also a video link at the bottom of the slide that talks about networking, and it was created by a career center, but I believe it's an hour long, so you can take a look at that too.
Now, folks, when you're out there, remember you're representing San Jose State. The only reason that Jasmine was recognized as a San Jose State was given preferential treatment because of other San Jose State experiences is because of people before her had left a very good impression on the people. And they said, oh, anytime we get a San Jose State Spartan, we know they're going to do a good job, and they're going to act very professional, and they're going to leave in good standing. So keep that in mind. Okay, so when you're out there, leave it in good standing, and because people behind you are going to benefit from your leaving a good impression on others.
Okay, resume building tips. So to ensure a strong resume, you can look at templates online, but you can also speak to your professors or people who have recently taken senior seminar. They teach you a lot about making a resume. Check spelling and grammar. We're human, we make mistakes. So be sure to constantly check to see that everything's correct, grammar's good. And try to keep your resume on one page. I believe in my senior seminar class, they said that the average time that they look at a resume is 15 seconds. So you want to put the most important points, your best experiences, your most recent experiences, and customize it depending on the job that you're applying to, the school that you're applying to. So you're not going to put you're not going to put that you worked at a school when you're applying to a hospital. You can put that one at the bottom just to make sure that they do see that you have experience, but that was just an example, not the best one. But so yeah, put your best experiences at the top. So there's also a website, I forgot what the website was. You can grade how good your resume is, how well it's written, and it also gives you pointers. The first time I put it through the system, my resume, I got a 60%. So it was a really bad resume. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but, and by the end of senior seminar, I worked it up to an 80%. I still have a lot to improve on, but that that helps a lot, being able to see where you can work on. And use your resources to build a resume. So you can go to the Career Center, again, speak to a professor, and they can look over the resume, they can run it, make some changes. And then we also have a website at SJSU that you can go to. There's a link right there. And it'll give you more tips and tricks on how to build up your resume.
Thank you, that was great.
I believe someone had a question. It says, could you put coaching a high school sports team as a good experience?
So it depends what you're applying for, but if one thing that demonstrates is being organized, being able to work with people, students in this case, being able to communicate messages, thinking strategically, because as a coach, you're thinking, I got to build X, Y, and Z skills in my players, and I got to do it safely, and we got to prepare them for a game. So there's a lot of so-called soft skills. Soft skills are interpersonal skills. Hard skills are technology skills like, Microsoft Word, Excel, maybe taping ankles is a hard skill. If you're a coach and you don't have an athletic trainer, you're sometimes doubling taping ankles or putting ice on kids. So that can be more like hard skills. But the soft skills are what I mentioned earlier, the attributes. And so if you are going to do that, tease out the attributes, the so-called attributes a good coach has that you utilize, that you refined in that experience, because that may bode well for the purpose of that resume. Like Diana said, if that purpose of the resume is to get an internship or a job, then they may be looking for that. So yes, there's a lot of merit in being a coach. You just got to tease it out. Just don't just put it in there to say I did 300 hours coaching this team, but I did in that experience. This is what I developed or what I worked on as far as my attributes.
I also wanted to add that, thank you, Vivian. She put in the chat that the website to put your resume through is BMOC. And I also would like to recommend LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn, get a LinkedIn. You can connect with different people. I have a cousin that's in HR, so she helps me look through my resume to see what they look at. And LinkedIn is a good way to network as well.
Great resources. Is anybody going to talk about this slide?
So I'm pretty sure this is just for kin majors. So these are just additional kin requirements. They include choosing between sports psychology, which is kin 167, and clinical exercise physio, kin 187. I'm pretty sure those are the course numbers. I do want to mention that many people do avoid taking clinical exercise physio because it is a lot. I'm actually taking that class right now, and it is a very difficult class, but it is doable if you put in enough time to study. Sports psych may be an easier path. However, clinical exercise phys is the best option if you plan on applying to PT school. It can make your resume or like your application more competitive. And then Hugo, if you want to talk about the international experience.
Sure. To expand on what Vivian was talking about, some programs will actually require you to also have exercise physiology and or biomechanics and or medical terminology before you apply. And so the challenge to non-kinesiology majors, biology, public health, is how do I get those classes? Because you have to be in the major to take kinesiology 155, which is exercise physiology, kinesiology 158, which I believe is biomechanics. And so I don't have the answer for that. We can, you can email me. You may be able to take it through UC Berkeley Extensions. You may be able to take it through Open University, but these classes fill up quickly. So that's going to be a big challenge for. And you may want to talk to the representatives, say from UC San Francisco, if they require exercise physiology. Say, how do people who apply to your program and are not kin majors, how do they get those courses? Where might, and they'll usually give you some resources where you might take those courses at. They might be online, I don't know. International experience is a requirement specifically for College of Health and Human Science students, especially public health, kinesiology, nutrition. And so if you want to know more, if you're fall into that category of being one of our majors, then make it a point with me, and I'll be happy to guide you on how to fulfill that requirement in a way that you benefit the most from it, or that suits your schedule when you want to graduate, your budget, etc.
Okay, so now some announcements and internship opportunities. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Announcements and internship opportunities
So
that we have. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I got it. So we have hyper strength and conditioning internship. This is not a PT clinic setting. It's more like a personal trainer kind of setting. But if you want to get experience in interacting with other people and doing different exercises, I would recommend, like, just to get started on it. Or if you're just interested in personal training in general, you can sign up for the hyper strength and conditioning internship. Send your resume to, since it's strongly recommended, I would build a resume and send it to Anthony Perez. His email is right there. And yeah. And next is hands-on care, which is an app, which is a PT clinic setting. They mostly do hand or upper extremity therapy, and you can apply through Handshake. Handshake is just like SDSU affiliated, like finding where you can find jobs. Like I found many jobs through Handshake. Never gone to any of them, but it's okay. So they have preference for people who took anatomy and physiology, not kinesiology. I remember when, yeah, just physiology. So they have flexible hours and it's part-time, and the deadline to apply through Handshake is October 30th, which is coming up. So if you're interested in getting some experience with upper extremity therapy, I would recommend signing up for hands-on care.
Great, thank you.
So there's more internship opportunities through Handshake. We have Golden Hill Orthopedics and Sports Physical Therapy. They're a full-time PTA, so you need to make room with your classes and their schedule in order to actually get into their internship opportunities. So resume, so you would need to give them your resume and work availability, and no experience is necessary since they'll visit you and you'll get the experience, and it's recommended to take anatomy and physiology. There's also advanced physical therapy volunteer internship, and it's there's 2 locations in Redwood and Sunnyvale location, and they like if you're flexible with those locations. And that internship is more volunteer based rather than being a PTA, but it could evolve into a PTA internship opportunity. It's still an internship, like you can use KIN 198 for this clinic. So all the information is there. You can visit their website for more information on how to apply and submit your resumes through their email.
It sounds like the Golden Hill Orthopedic Sports one is probably a better fit for people that are going to take a gap year. In other words, if you're going to graduate and then you're not quite ready to apply yet, a gap year or 2 is recommended. You don't get penalized. They actually see that, the PT programs actually see that as the plus, that you took the time to prepare properly. So this opportunity like Golden Hills or others like that would be a good thing for you to do while you're, during that gap year, that you're saving money, that you're paying off your credit cards, that you're taking any classes that you still need, et cetera, et cetera. That would probably be a good fit for something like that.
Okay, so we do have some upcoming workshops and events. The next event that we have workshop is in person, so don't miss out this. Well, it does cater more to KIN majors, but anyone is welcome to come. It's first come, first serve basis, because since it is in person, it's at the Student Union. There's only limited space. And this one is going to be a taping workshop with an athletic trainer. So if you've seen anyone with KT tape, athletic tape, that's what we'll be able to do. And we have ordered some KT tape and athletic tape for us to try on. and for us to do ourselves. And our guest athletic trainer is going to be Annie, and we look forward to seeing you. It is going to be a little later. It's in November 18th at 7 p.m. That's when she was available to do it. So I hope to see you guys there. We will send an email later on in the future. We also have a volleyball social. So if you want to meet more of the club members, get to know your officers as well, invite you to come. You're more than welcome to come. The date is still to be determined, but the location is, it's going to be in Tower Lawn. It's where they did Fountain on the Fire. And we will also be sending an email more about this.
Can I volunteer to get taped? I don't want to be taping. I want to get taped. Just in case, let me know if you need somebody.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
And I want to announce also earlier that evening on, there's that taping clinic. We have secured Dr. Gillette, who's the chair of the admissions committee for University of Pacific in Stockton. Their program is he's gonna be here Thursday, November the 18th via Zoom. The Zoom link is down there, starting at 5 p.m. I'm gonna send the same kind of email blast that I sent for this workshop. So keep an eye out about a week before, about November 11th or so, is when I'll be sending out the information, but the Zoom link's already there. So if you put your name in the registration with your email address, and you receive the PowerPoint, you'll have the Zoom link already embedded in there. So that's exciting news.
Okay, so we do have new club shirts. The one I'm wearing currently is the one that we've had for a couple years now.
5 minutes.
And we recently decided to change the design. So if you can see here on the left one, this is going to be the design that we have in the front of the t-shirt. But instead of the little cross right there, we're going to have the image that you see here in the middle. And then the back is going to have the pre-physical therapy club, and it's going to be different areas, different ways of helping people. So this is only for those who are club members and who have paid the $10 fee. We're putting in the order, so they'll be here a little later, and we'll send out an email letting you know where you can pick it up. We'll set a time and a location for anyone that's gonna pick it up. And it is not too late to join the club for those who asked. We do have the QR code right there for you to fill out the form, and we'll include you in our emailing list. And that's also the link right there, the tinyurl.com pre-PT club 2021. You can also reach out to us through Instagram at sjsu_ppt or our email sjsupreptclub@yahoo.com. Yeah, you can reach to us there.
Great. Those are very beautiful shirts. I want one. Okay. So folks, as I mentioned before, I work for the College of Health and Human Science Student Success Center. And in case you want to make an appointment with me, you call, the best way to do is call 4008-924-2910. It's located on the lower left of this flyer. I'm an advisor. I do everything from pre-PT to academic planning. So just go ahead and call if you want an appointment to work with me. I think we're done. Thank you very much. Everybody did such a wonderful job, especially the audience who was attentive for most of this period. We only lost 8 people, probably because they had to go to work or they were hungry. We started off with 36, we ended up with 28. But we're gonna, stick around for some questions and answers. So let me get off this and we'll do the chat. Who has, does anybody want to read some questions, or does somebody want to unmute themselves and just ask a question verbally?
I have a question. What does
Please
it
go
mean
ahead.
to be a full-time PTA? Because I have class, so I'm a part-time. I'm a full-time student, so I'm not sure what does full-time PTA means.
That usually means it's a job, and it's 8 hours a day, 40 hours per week. It could be including a Saturday. And some PT clinics are open a little late. So if you're a full-time student, it's going to be hard to do a full-time job and still keep your grades up. And,
Okay.
and PTA means that you're assisting the physical therapist in different tasks. Can somebody describe what a PTA typically does in a setting?
So you do, oh, go ahead, who was that?
Oh, you're good. I'll let you answer.
Mhm. Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, it's a lot of patient interaction. You are there to make the physical therapist's job easier in a sense. So you help them by sometimes helping them with exercises, demonstration, setting them up on stim, ice, heat, different sorts of things, ultrasound. So you're always on your feet. There's no downtime, at least not in the clinic we work at. We don't get a lot of opportunity to study on the job, unfortunately, but you're constantly hands-on.
Whoever wanted to speak up, please share if you want to add to that. That was wonderful. Lou, I think it was Lou on the phone.
Oh,
Did you want to add?
for my PTA position at Agile, I do everything but help the PTs with the patients. I make sure that the clinic is running smoothly by doing all the linens, making sure all the rooms are fully stocked with all the medical supplies. And if I do assist them, I would help them get whatever they need. Or the only thing I've been able to do right now is get the game ready set up for the patients.
Thank you for adding that. Somebody put in the chat, I'm not a kinesiology major. How do I get the prereqs in? So you have various options, definitely during summer. You could even do take a few classes, say this person's a business major in this case, take like 3 business classes and maybe 1 or 2 other classes. You can minor, for example, in science or biology to get some of the requirements. But probably the best path for you would be to graduate as soon as possible and then plan on spending probably 2 years doing a gap year, taking classes at a community college as you're doing some of your PT hours. So those are various options for you. For those that are non-kinesiology majors and non-science majors, or don't have a science curriculum embedded into their major. Other questions?
There was a question in the chat, if we need any CPR licensing. The clinic I work at, we're not required CPR or any licensing. They do recommend you already taking anatomy and physiology because they use a lot of the terminology that you learn in that class, but not licensing that I'm aware of.
It may not be a requirement, but I think it just makes a lot of common sense to have. If you're going to be a healthcare professional, you never know when you're going to need that. So I recommend, you never know when one of your family members at a picnic or a family gathering may need that. It's just always it's good to be prepared. So again, it may not be a requirement for to be a PT-aide, but it's highly recommended if you're going to be a healthcare professional in your future to have that extra skill in case you need it.
Oh, I have a question here.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so right now I'm doing my internship hours and I noticed that we needed observation hours. So with the place of clinic that we're at, would they certify our observation hours as well?
It's the same thing, my friend.
Okay.
Observation and internship is synonymous. Patient care hours, observation hours, internship hours, they can be synonymous.
As long as it's with a PT.
There you go.
Yeah.
Qualified, it has to be with a PT. Thank you for that,
so the 100,
Rachel.
So the 100 hours I'm doing at a physical therapy clinic, that counts towards those as well.
Yes.
Okay.
I have another question. So if I am working, I'm working at Timpani Center and it is like a aquatic setting with some physical therapists and we're doing like personal training. and I want to be a PT in the future, does it count towards my observation hours?
It
counts-
sounds like go ahead, Rachel, do you have a answer to that one?
It will count towards observation hours if you're taking like the what I think is KIN 198, the internship. So you can use it as an internship, but you do need to at some point work under the supervision of a physical therapist for those hours to count when applying to grad school. No experience,
okay.
I mean, all the experience that you're getting in the Timpani Center is going to make you a great candidate, but the application process for getting to the next level into grad school does have to have a physical therapist observe you in the clinic. It can, well, in a setting that is physical therapy related. So personal trainers don't count, athletic trainers don't count for those hours. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
It can count towards the KIN 198, and it can count towards getting you other opportunities, but for grad school, it won't count.
Okay, thank you. Another question. So if I graduate from SJSU and I don't apply to grad school right away, what can I do in between graduation to graduate, a graduation to apply to grad school?
Can you rephrase your question one more time, please?
Okay, so for some reason, maybe I won't apply to grad school right after my graduation. So is there any jobs or things I can do in between, full-time PTAs?
Yeah, all these opportunities that were explained today, there's going to be more opportunities when you're ready to graduate. And like Rachel said earlier, as long as you're under the supervision of as a physical therapist, then that will count towards grad school. And so that'd be a great thing to do during your gap year or two that you're taking after graduation before you apply.
So it is okay to do the observation hours after graduation from SJSU too? Okay.
Yes. Doesn't matter as long as you get them before you apply.
Okay. And for the, because I know there's a time limit, for your GRE score and your transcript, before you apply to grad, before you apply to PT school, is there a time limit for?
So you're asking if your courses expire, your prerequisite expire after a certain amount of years. Some of them are very strict at 5 years. Others are a little bit say, we'll do 7 years. But to answer your question, Angel, the best thing to do is to contact an admissions representative from the programs you're interested in. And for example, we're having the director of admissions for University of Pacific November 18th. That'd be a great question for them to answer, because none of us here make decisions on admissions, but only the people from these programs do. So that is a great question to ask. But in general, some schools are very strict at saying, okay, if you took Chem 1A 6 years ago, we need a fresher one, or anatomy, physiology. Others are saying, if it's within 7 years, we're okay with that. So you really got to take it on a school by school basis. There's no general rule for every school. And you really, earlier I showed a slide about doing a table with all the different schools you're interested in and what the prerequisites are. One of the tasks you got to do is, when you're getting ready to apply, is to contact those schools, have an approximate summary you're going to start applying, and then let them know and ask that question of them, and they will give you their own answer tailored to your specific situation.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny has a question in the chat.
So Destiny's question, she's a frosh and she's majoring in biology, but she thinks switching to kinesiology would be easier to become a physical therapist because of the opportunities that are there. And I private chatted her saying, make an appointment with me and we'll talk about the pros and cons to both. So if you're having the same kind of question, make an appointment with an advisor and explore the positives and the negatives to doing both. Because the kinesiology major is very impacted. And so you have to have a certain GPA to be able to get in to change into that major. So, and we got to look at a case by case basis. We're not gatekeepers. We're just preparing you to change majors. But we want to look at the benefits of being a biology major versus the benefits of being a kinesiology major. And then we give you your options, and you choose what your best path is. And if it is changing to kinesiology, then we'll help you with the process. But as you saw earlier in the graph, people get into kinesiology are not just kin majors. They're biology, public health, psychology. So it all works.
It only matters that you take the prereqs, and I was a bio major, and my best friend from grad school was a German major.
There's your answer, Destiny. But I'm happy to meet with you and anybody else if you want to explore that to see what's your best option. There's more than one way to get it done. All right, folks, we have room for one more question, and then we're gonna shut it down because my stomach is growling.
Do you think you could go back to the slide where what was it, the Venmo and also the Google form, like the link or the QR code? Cool. Yeah, it was like the Google form to join the club and like the Venmo.
Sorry about that. Hold on.
Yeah, so I just sent the link to the Google form in the chat. And let me see if I remember. Wait, let me check to see
and
what,
folks,
sorry, go ahead.
and if please also don't forget to register using this link. And all right. Diana, can you stop the recording, please? Thank you.